All right.
Welcome to our after school special. I am here with Tricia Danieli. I've been waiting all day for this interview. Super excited about it. Man, you know what I love about you? And it is a quality not many have. You seem to be absolutely fearless.
Yeah, I don't think I'm really afraid of anything, which
N-
is scary in itself.
no, it's funny. I was just looking at, all the work that you do. I mean, you obviously are a Kamala Harris impersonator. You did that for us. But you're also a very talented musical artist, a vocalist, right?
That's 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 right. I'm a singer, musician, songwriter, kind of do it all.
Right, right. So where would someone find your music, first of all?
I have some things on Apple Music, or formerly known as iTunes,
Yeah.
and Spotify,
Okay.
and I put things up on SoundCloud from time to time. So I'm always like trying to release a new single every month or so. And
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Now, how did you get into doing musical impersonations and that type of thing?
Um, it's really interesting. Like, a lot of people kept telling me that I kind of look and sound like Amy Winehouse.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, like,
I
especially
I
when, I
I
mean, obviously
I
when I
guess if I
covered
squinted my eyes, maybe I could see that. You know.
I, I think it's when I was covering her songs mostly, but so I realized I really, really like her music,
It's
and then I got into
phenomenal.
her. Yeah, oh man, and her
And
life.
you
I
can
was
impersonate her vocally?
singing wise, I'll
Yeah.
do like a whole show.
As
Of
Amy?
yeah,
That's impressive. I mean, that's real vocal chops. That is not an easy feat to pull off, Trisha.
she had a unique range, and I think that that's like my comfort zone.
That's your
Is
tessitura?
yeah,
Okay, okay. Yeah, my brother, he was out in New York for 5 years. He's a vocalist and, he's more of a I would call him a Disney style singer. I don't know how to better phrase it than that. I think that's what he grew up on and that's what he fell in love with, but what did you fall in love with, musically that made you pursue it?
Um, when I was like really starting to sing, because I actually started with piano. So I started as a kid, and I started singing after I was a few years into the piano, and I was really influenced by Christina Aguilera and
Okay.
Alicia Keys.
Great artists.
Yeah,
Okay, okay. Now, so you're an impersonator. You're actually a vocalist and a musician. You play instruments,
yeah,
piano for sure, right? Yeah.
yeah.
You're an actress, is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what have you done in that field? What do you do in acting?
um, actually, like I've done some. I have like one movie so far,
That's
and
great.
it feels really natural. And I've done little shorts and
Hmm.
stuff, lots of different categories, and it feels like really natural.
Do you find yourself to lean more to the drama side, more the comedy side? How do you feel you are as an actress?
I definitely feel like more into comedy.
Yeah.
So,
I could see that. I mean, you seem
yeah,
you already have a kind of a comedic approach and things like that. So,
yeah.
you've blown up obviously all over the internet. People are seeing your work everywhere. They're sharing it. How have things changed in the past, few years since you've gotten onto Instagram and other social media?
It's really funny because when I started social media, it was actually the days of MySpace and all that, and
No
I
way.
was
Come on. Really?
I was like one of the like MySpace people, Facebook.
Me too. I had MySpace and it was
Yeah.
wonderful. I mean, it was just terrible because it takes forever to load, but you'd spend hours making your page, putting music on it, doing all kinds of things. It was really more social media than social media is now.
Yeah, that's where I found out that I could be like, I was too short for runway modeling because I love fashion. I always wanted to get into fashion, but that's when I realized I could be a bikini model,
Okay.
and so that's where that all kind of took off.
Yeah, so
So
you started modeling, and you obviously got noticed, and you ended up, if I'm not mistaken, you did a photo shoot with Playboy. Is that correct?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And again, I go back to where I started. You're fearless. You seem to have a fearlessness about you, and man, that's an admirable quality to have. Not many people possess that ability because, it enables you to be completely vulnerable. At any time, whether it's to be funny or whatever it may be. How was I'm sure a billion women want to know what was it like to do a photo shoot like that? Was it fun? Was it not fun? Was it awkward? Was it great?
I mean, for me, it was completely freeing, and it was fun, and it just felt like wow, all these like worlds are opening,
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely.
and yeah.
It's a great honor, and a great stepping stone as well. I'm certain that that probably opened some other doors to you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So you get noticed out there, doing your modeling, and you start, showing your musical chops too. And so where are you going now? What's next for Tricia Danieli? What are you going to conquer? And what am I missing? There's more that you've conquered I don't know.
Let's see what else. I mean, I'm getting more into like musically, I'm getting more into just being more well-rounded.
Hmm.
So my goal would be to have my home studio and produce better. I do it, but like I want to
You want to do real
get
music
really,
production. Yeah.
yeah, really good.
Put the beats in and really do it from the bass and up, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so I'm getting more like well-rounded, like
Hmm.
playing the drums. I started playing the drums a few years ago more.
Man, I wish I
My
could. You know what? When I was in junior high, I tried out. That's what I wanted to be, as a drummer, and they told me I
Oh,
didn't have enough rhythm, which
oh
was
my
just terrible. I think it just gave me a complex my whole life. But I ended up playing trumpet. That did not do a lot for me, unless you count being able to move your. Well, it doesn't even matter. But anyway, no, it didn't do much for me.
I think if you wanted to do something, that's enough of a calling. I think, no one should have told you that. Like, I think,
Well,
um,
I did all right. I mean, I survived without the drums, and probably better for the world. I found my voice instead, and put that to work. As I grew up, I wanted to be a radio guy, and I didn't have a background of any kind in radio, so I had to devise some kind of evil plan to get there, and so I worked for many years to get there, and finally did, and became affiliated with a radio program for 20 years here, and it was a great run, and I've been very blessed. So I'm not mad at all about the drumming.
yeah, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, another
Yeah,
door opened up for me, and I went through it.
yeah.
So what are you? Where are you going to go next, career wise? Are you looking to break more into music and to get more of your singles out there? Are you looking more to get into the acting realm, or are you going to the next level of modeling? What's happening?
Um, Definitely music is always going to be the base of everything that I do. That's just kind of how I express myself.
Yeah.
So it's funny because my older brother, actually both of my brothers, played drums, and my older brother was really, really good. So like the
Now, see,
funny thing is,
your other brother's going to be like, man, come on. Be like, what are you doing to me here?
I know he's not gonna even pay attention.
Okay,
So
okay.
it's so funny. Brothers are funny, but it's it's funny because my older brother didn't pursue it professionally,
Hmm.
and so I was just like, well, somebody's got to do it. You know what I mean?
Someone has to represent the family musically here. And that ended up being Trisha. So,
Yeah.
okay, okay. So,
And yeah.
when you began to, train, get your voice to what it is now, is that something that you just did naturally? Is it something that happened in the shower? Did you practice it? Did you go to lessons? How did you get your voice as dynamic and to have the range that you do, like it is now?
It's so weird. When I was like 5 years old or something, I remember going to my mom and telling her that I was gonna be a singer and I was gonna have this great voice and everything. And I'm five. I don't,
Right.
there's nothing there yet. And so I started just kind of singing in private, secretly. And then like I just told her though, I knew that I was going to just develop and listen to really good singers and
Hmm.
just kind of develop the ear for it. Piano definitely helped,
I bet it did. Yeah. See, I told my mom I wanted to be Indiana Jones. That also did not work out.
You know what's funny? My younger brother's actually very talented at comedy and impressions.
Yeah.
So, and again, he didn't go that route professionally, and I kind of thought he would have. So again, I'm like, somebody's got to do that too.
Well, look,
So,
you're trying to carry the mantle for everyone here, aren't you? So now that
my mom.
you've gotten some success and some traction and some notice here, have you tried to pull either of your brothers in and go, look, bring your talent over here and let's get it on video and let's get you in here too. Do a little family thing.
That was always the dream, like, I always wanted that, but we never really collaborated
Yeah.
ever, like, we did different genres,
Oh,
entirely
okay.
different genres, and they're way more private than me, like, completely different personalities,
Mm-hmm.
and, it's not for everybody, it's like, you put
No,
yourself out there.
it is the most naked. Well, comedy is the most naked art form next to whatever happens in Playboy. But it is especially when you're doing things like that or vocal work. Yeah, you put yourself way out there in front, and obviously we're somewhat of attention whores.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't deny it. I mean, people say you kind of want attention. Yeah, I mean, clearly I must. I mean, look what I do. Yeah, uh, so that's a given. So when you began to listen to music when you were little, who did you like?
I was all over the place. I mean, I liked Roberta Flack and Patsy Cline and Yanni. Oh, I'm a huge Yanni fan.
Yeah, the
When
Yanni, the master of the pan flute. Yeah,
the the two keyboards and the
yeah,
white and the long hair, I was
yes,
like,
I remember him. He was actually really big, like maybe in the 80s, 70s,
um
80s.
I think 90s is
Was
kind of
he in
when.
the 90s? He might have been.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, he might have been. Okay, I believe that.
yeah.
That's interesting, though. That's an interesting one. So,
Yeah.
when you first started singing, how long did it take you to figure out, oh, the Amy Winehouse connection? How long did that take?
Um I think when I just realized like that her range and her style really
Fit you?
fit. It felt natural, that's when I was
Yeah.
like, "Ooh, this would be really, really cool to just," you know, I think a lot of people told me, "Oh, you kind of look like her." So I ended up getting the beehive wig
Oh,
and like,
yeah. That is great. That's great. Do you still, do shows like that as Amy?
yes, all the time.
All
Like,
the time, even.
yeah, there's about a couple times a month I do a themed or tribute show. So even last night I did like an Alicia Keys theme. I do Lady Gaga. Um, just kind of exploring different themes.
Okay, so tell me how you if I buy a ticket to your show, right? Am I coming to see Tricia Danieli and Tricia does all kinds of stuff, including that, or am I coming to see Lady Gaga?
It depends on how it's kind of marketed. So like I put on the flyers, what it's going to be.
Right.
I think I like performing as myself the most because it's like a variety.
Okay. Yeah. No, I didn't know if you stayed if you got in character and you just stayed that way. Like, an Elvis impersonator. It's always Elvis. They're never
Yeah,
not Elvis. And so I
right.
wasn't sure if you're like, no, I stay in character. If you meet me, I'm Alicia Keys on that night. You can meet
No, I
Trisha later.
yeah, I like to be and like I like to be me as an artist
Yeah.
and just kind of like paying tribute to some of my favorite
And
artists.
it gives you a little more leeway to freestyle and do other things as well, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So when you, if I come to your show, am I going to see if you do a tribute to, let's say, Alicia Keys, but you'll do other music as well of your own, I guess.
Yeah, I'll just like last night I kind of stayed in that genre and
Hmm.
did songs that I really like or that like always
Oh,
resonated
that's
with me.
great. That's great. And so when is your next performance and where is it at, by the way?
Tomorrow night I'm playing at a blues club in Fort Lauderdale.
In Fort Lauderdale. That's where you do you live in Fort Lauderdale area?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's a beautiful area. Now,
Yeah.
I know that there's been obviously a lot of really tough weather in Florida, but have you escaped most of that so far?
Yeah, I'm lucky. I've been in Florida for almost 7 years now, and I haven't gotten hit with anything major.
Wow. Yeah, because I mean, boy, nobody, a lot of people in Florida cannot say that, particularly now.
Yeah.
How far from you, do you, when you go around, do you see where areas are affected or are you too far removed from it?
I'm pretty far from it,
Yeah, see,
actually.
Florida,
Yeah.
a lot of people may not know, Florida's a very long state, and
Yeah.
you can be, very far from one another there.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh, how,
I stay on the coast pretty much, the East Coast.
okay. Now, where were you born? Mm.
I was born outside Chicago in a south suburb called Joliet.
Oh, I've heard of Joliet. And
Yeah.
now, did you live there very long, or?
Yeah, I mean, I left when I was 18.
Oh,
So,
okay. So you went to school there and everything.
yeah.
What was that like growing up there?
Um,
How
it's
does it compare, for example, to where you are now?
it's I think it gave me a lot of character. It's a very unique town.
Yeah.
The movie The Blues Brothers, that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like one of my
Yeah.
favorite movies.
It's a great
But
movie.
isn't it great?
Yes.
It's a very musical area. It's a tough, the weather is extremely tough.
Yeah, the
Uh,
winters are pretty hard there, aren't they?
yeah.
Yeah,
And there's
so you get, I mean, where I'm at, I live in Little Rock, and now you live in Florida. But where I'm at, if it snows, people don't want to drive if they'll get out. They'll not get out if they don't have to. I assume where you were when it snows, it's like, so what?
Yeah, it definitely. I mean, Chicago area is like severely cold. So just
Hmm.
I couldn't really handle it, to be honest with you. Like I don't think I was made for it.
I'm definitely not made for that. No. Mm.
Yeah, I was constantly sick. I was constantly getting pneumonia and like
Now,
I've,
are you a
you know,
sports fan?
I'm loyal to all my Chicago teams.
So the Bulls,
Bulls,
like Michael Jordan?
of course, I knew all the team players when they were having
Yeah.
their oh, of course. Then the 90s,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, man, that must have been so awesome to be there in the 90s when, he was in his prime and man, everybody was going crazy about it. How
Yeah,
exciting was that to live there?
I mean, I was a little kid, but like my family was really into basketball. Like we had a basketball court and everyone would come and play and like it was just so cool because I knew, you know, I like studied the players and stuff. I was a
Right.
nerd. I was a real nerd
Now
as a
that's
kid.
cool, actually. That gets cool points these days. It used to be a bad thing. It's not anymore. It makes you actually interesting to people. What kind of
Have you
nerd were you?
have you noticed that there's less nerds today? I was
Well,
just thinking about this. I think
yeah.
there's less nerds today than
Well, in fairness, nerds didn't have the internet back then, so they didn't know they were nerds. Now you're a nerd before you ever leave the house. You can look at yourself and go, I look like that kid. I don't want to look like that.
I was the interesting nerd because I was really shy. Really, I was so quiet. People thought I was stuck up, and I would read books all the time. I would practice music for hours and hours a day, um,
Well,
and just
how did you get out of shyness? What happened? Were you like a caterpillar turned into a butterfly, or how did that work?
yeah, I became some kind of really weird butterfly. Like all of a sudden, like I think I think it was like around 18 or something, and I just broke out of my shell like with a hammer. Like
So with a vengeance, yeah. Okay. All right. So, um, what is what's the long term? What do you hope to do? Where do you see yourself? In the next 5, 10 years. What are you going to be doing?
5, 10 years. Well, like I think my next direction, I'm keeping comedy in my mind because even with music, um, I don't feel comfortable as like a really serious person. So,
Right.
I kind of just feel like I can be more honest with comedy. So I started writing some really funny songs, and I kind of want to play more characters
Yeah.
and impressions.
I
And
think
I started to write like one day, even if it's 20 years from now, I want to do stand up. So I'm like writing every night. I'm like writing jokes. I'm like, for every 100 jokes, one of them's good,
right.
like,
No, I know how that works. I did stand up I've done it, I guess, for 15, 16 years now, and it's challenging. But when you have a piano, you don't actually have to stand up. You can sit down and do a show that way. And I've known some very, 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 very good comics that do so. Um, that do
that's awesome.
musically, yes, and
Yeah.
they are amazing. Now, I know a couple that do it with guitar, and I know a couple that do it with piano, and they're
Cool.
all great. Yeah. Now it is a little bit more of a logistical thing to get a piano where you need.
Yeah.
It's trickier than a guitar for sure.
Oh, it's a pain in the butt. Like
Yeah,
it
yeah,
really
yeah,
is.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you, for entertainment these days, nobody's really, I don't think, watching TV the way they used to. What do you stream? Do you watch TikToks? Where do you go to be entertained?
It's mostly YouTube and like I guess Instagram, Facebook.
Do you follow personalities on YouTube, or do you just randomly watch stuff? How do you, what are you watching?
I guess okay, so YouTube is I'll just put on like these long kind of like interesting documentaries or whatever. I just
Okay,
like when I want to like zone out,
okay,
but when I'm scrolling on like social media, I follow comedians, I follow like artists that I really like,
mm-hmm,
um, whatever I'm trying to learn
yeah,
or get
okay.
better at. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Who are you trying to learn now? What's the new artist you're trying to take on?
A new artist. I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's hard to say like specifically
Okay, I
because
got you.
yeah, I think I'm still just trying to like figure out like what's gonna be me and what's
Hmm.
different about me.
Well,
Um,
I don't know how it translates musically, but as a stand-up comedian, they told me early on it takes about 5 years to find your voice, and
okay.
that held pretty close to true. Now, I do think as you get older, that voice changes, but I think from the time you start really going into comedy, it takes about 5 years,
Cool.
and then this is who I am,
Okay.
so it's good to be where you are. It sounds like you're in that early exploratory, let me figure out comedically who I am so I can then, expand it from there. But
Yeah.
the tough thing for you is you have a hell of a lot more options than we do. I can only get up and tell a joke, or, I can move my face, contort it, maybe my body a little bit, but you have a whole, you know, music thing behind you that offers so many other avenues to pursue comedically, and
Right.
that takes a little bit to explore, I'm sure.
Right. Like I know who I am as musically,
Right.
like I know what my vein is, what my lane is, whatever.
Yeah.
And but yeah, trying to add comedy to it now, it's really interesting. Like I never was bored in my entire life. So I just like to just keep evolving and
Yeah. Uh,
um
it's real common now if you look at for a good example of this, and you may not follow him, Garth Brooks, and I'm not like a big giant Garth Brooks fan necessarily. I mean, I do like his music or whatever, but he is really as much almost stand-up comedy now as he
Wow.
is music. And
I
if you
love that.
right, and if you watch his set, he'll have one of those headsets with the little, thing that stick out, and he'll stop playing and he'll just start telling you a funny story, and he's telling it
Wow.
very stand-up comedian style.
Yeah.
It's just stand up, honestly, it is. And I'm seeing more and more artists who are kind of employing that technique of I'm going to use my music and my mouthpiece to entertain because I'm more than just music, And
Yeah.
I think when you find that rhythm between the two, I think you could have something really powerful there. Because what I have noticed as well, and not just that you're fearless, but that your followers are very fiercely supportive of you. You have a great following, and they're fiercely supportive. It looks like of any endeavor that you pursue.
Yeah, there's a lot of really, really amazing people in my life, and I've seen the strength of that, like big time. It's pretty awesome. But at the same time, though, like I feel like I'm also kind of controversial because I'm very judged, and like I hate this word, but there's a lot of haters.
Well, there's always going to be haters. Why do you have haters, Tricia? Who hates you, and why do they hate you? Tell me why they hate you.
It's so funny. I don't always know why they hate me, but there's a lot of people who instantly, like, they're kind of like, what is she? And then they're looking for something
Hmm.
immediately to hate. Like they're looking for, oh, she's left-handed. I knew I hated her. Like,
Really? Now, are you talking about on social media, or are you talking about in person?
um, and that was just an example.
Right.
But
No, I know that. I knew
I think it's kind of both.
that. Yeah.
It's
You don't
yeah.
seem that polarizing to me.
That's I kind of think I am, and that's what makes me feel like I'm gonna probably go somewhere because if you think about it, people
No,
that
that's
like
true.
really
It's true. No, now, we were just talking about this yesterday in stand-up comedy, particularly, but in radio, it translates as well. If you're not offending people, you're not doing the job. You
Yeah,
can't make everybody happy and be the best you're being, and
yeah,
that comes with haters, ask Tom
yeah,
Brady.
right,
It comes
yeah,
with a lot of haters, Michael Jordan. It
yeah.
came with a lot of haters, about
It's
six
true,
rings or five rings, four rings in. They were like, we hate you now, Michael. Get out. You're winning too much.
but
And
it is. Yeah, they
yeah.
turn on you. They're
Hmm.
they're your fans. They
Hmm.
admire you, and then they turn on you.
You just have to roll through it because those aren't the real fans. The
Yeah.
real fans are there with you. Those are the fair weathers that need to go on and pull their own happy wagon. You know what I mean?
I just take it like, okay, if they're that passionately moved by me, then I must be onto something, just being myself and trying to do the best at what I'm doing?
Well, yeah, I would imagine so. I mean, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, look, social media, unfortunately, is a blessing and a curse for everybody, right? I mean, it,
Yeah.
it, it can validate you and destroy you in a matter of 30 seconds. and
Right.
and it's just how much do you want to ride the roller coaster.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I try my best to avoid that. Because I've seen the highs and I've seen the lows.
Yeah.
And I what I do is I just communicate with the people who are supporting me and give
Yeah.
them love and give them thanks and tell them how
Yeah.
much, and the other ones I just let them suffocate there with no water.
Right.
No water for the haters for me, man. Well, tell people you're on Instagram, Tricia Danieli. It's Danieli, correct?
That's right.
All
Yeah.
right. And do you have a website also, or is that where everybody goes to see you?
TheTriciaShow.com.
TheTriciaShow.com. I did not know that. I'm going to add that now. And we'll have to put a link up to that on our page for you too, so that we send you some folks over there because I know all of my folks will want to see that. Check out TheTriciaShow.com and see what's happening in Tricia's world. And certainly hope that, you're going to come back in some variation or another as yourself, as a musical guest, as both. We just want to keep up with you and hope that you'll keep coming to see us.
Cool. I appreciate that.
No, it's
Thank,
awesome. It's awesome. It's Tricia Danieli. Everybody get you some of it at thetriciashow.com.
thank you.
Thank you, Tricia.
All right.